Three. All right, we're up. Good deal. Welcome back to the back porch, talking about local things that are positive and that we appreciate here in our area. And last week we had with us a dear friend of mine. Next week we have scheduled. You can go ahead and give us a preview of that.
Not next week, the following week. I'll be at the 4-H volunteering for the 4-H camp. But it will be Jen Alger, who does a lot of volunteering in the Dandridge area. She's the head of the PTO for Morey Middle School. She is doing a program, Hunger Does Not Take a Vacation. And so it's a program to get food for the kids in the area that may not have. And she also works with the churches for Christmas, getting gifts for kids as well.
Christmas shoebox program.
That's the one. Yes.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that a couple weeks down the road. But today we kind of have put our little minds together and come up with a notion to talk about that both of us are dealing with clinically, professionally, however you want to say it. We have noticed an unsettling trend, and I just shot Bruce a text, and I'm going to address our text messages here in a minute, but I shot him a text that said collective mood. It seems like it's a good thing that humanity is harmonizing, but it is a bad tone that they're harmonizing to.
I agree, and this is why we want to be more positive and uplifting and encouraging and focus on the community and making sure that we're checking in with everybody that's in our surrounding. But yeah, we were talking about that, and then I had brought up the concept of mood, emotion, and feeling. And so a mood is the emotion that is affecting your disposition. He's grumpy, he's agitated, he's depressed, anxious. As to a feeling is something that we are conscious of, and we create what's the word I want? An expression for. Feeling of love, the feeling of joy. These are things that we perceive, and then we go, this feels good, this is love, this is joy. This makes me feel angry or sad. And then we have the concept of how do we use that day to day with our interactions with everybody around us, what we consume as in social media, conversations with others, what we read, and how does that create our viewpoint or our outlook on the world and towards our fellow brothers and sisters in the world as well.
I was trying, in the interim of your last patient and our last message, I was trying to kind of come up with a visual to explain it. And correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time you've heard me pitch this, but I see a triangle, kind of like a pyramid, food pyramid, you know, and you've got down on the bottom, the base layer of our personality. And that, I see the base layer as being our emotions.
Yes.
And on top of that, I build mood, which kind of can be concurrent through whatever emotional roller coaster you're on. And then finally, that immediate feeling. And feelings I see on the top of the pyramid, because a lot of the things we say we feel. How many times are you asked every week in interactions with the world, somebody says, well, how are you feeling? How are you doing? That's an implied question. You're desiring a positive response. And a lot of people get put off by my response because I always either say wonderful or marvelous. I've told you that on here, I think 3 times now. Maybe you need to learn how to answer that question with the word marvelous. And I see it from a perspective kind of ruling out my feelings, because my feelings, I import a lot of them. It's almost like other people get to download their feelings into my hard drive, and I'm stuck with that. And I've got to consciously not let that feeling get down to the bedrock of my emotional state, because that's going to affect your overall health. That's going to affect your heart bigger than anything. It's going to affect your willfulness to interact. And it's going to be something that stores in you. And if you are, if you're importing everybody's problems all the time, they're going to manifest in your life as your problems. So I kind of want to cut those three things apart and start at the top and talk about feelings.
Sure.
What makes you feel good, Bruce?
Watermelon.
Watermelon?
No, I have a core value system, a morality that I feel that I need to stand fast on. What makes me feel good is my family, providing, protecting, spending time with, my patients. When I am able to live out my purpose, that makes me feel good.
You used the term yesterday in our conversation, heavenly mandate.
Heavenly mandate, yes. And a lot of people they use the word calling. You had a calling, but the heavenly mandate of doing as so in Chinese medicine, the old term for a doctor was Hu Lu, one who practices the art of compassion.
Mm.
And
that's a rarity in modern medicine.
And so when you become a doctor of Chinese medicine, it is about that calling of to be as compassionate as possible. And that when I have a patient on the table and I can do that, or if I have time with my family and I can be that role model, that gives me joy. Mm-hmm. That makes me feel good. So in essence, it's about doing for others that makes me feel good more than anything else. If I can do for another, I feel good. And watermelon.
And watermelon. Yeah. What about?
How about you?
Ask me what makes me feel bad.
What makes you feel bad?
What makes me feel bad are the things in life that are the reality that I'm not willful enough to exercise the grace to admit that I cannot change. So that takes me. The reason I wanted to start at the top of the pyramid and go down is because I want people to consciously be aware of the fact the way you're feeling in the moment you're in, that is your address, your immediate address to what you're importing, what you're allowing your circumstances to subject you to, and what the immediate dictation to your heart is. And what makes me feel bad is to see other people through that lens of compassion. And here's the challenge. I see them in situations that are not healthy or beneficial for them, and their unwillfulness to change because I have been in that situation.
So we'll expand on that. This is something that drives my wife crazy, and it drives me crazy. Anytime I have a feeling or a sensation, an emotion, a mood, I have to psychoanalyze every little detail about it. Why do I feel that way? How did I get here? What is the root cause to this? And it'll take me days to process, to come down to why did I react that way? Why did I think this thing? What is my entrainment? Where is my entrapment? And a lot of people, they are stuck in that situation because they don't know any other situation. They have not taken the time to kind of really evaluate themselves, because all root causes stem from the spirit. Mm-hmm. And you must take a moment and kind of like right yourself first before you can kick off into a different direction. If you're going to shoot a bow and an arrow at a target and you're always hitting the same spot and missing the bullseye, missing the mark, you have to right yourself first. Take a deep breath and examine, and then try again. But I think a lot of people, when they get into that groove, it's a habit at this point. Everything bad happens to me.
Mm-hmm. It goes from the top down.
They encapsulate themselves in this thought process. And was it Milton Erickson? Are you familiar with
Mhm.
Milton Erickson? He was one that would address it with patients. There is a concept that we are in a trance 90% of the time. You're driving to work, but you're thinking about your groceries. You're not there. You're not present in the moment.
That's I encourage meditation, and I might be the only Baptist preacher in the world that does encourage meditation. But meditation is not locking yourself in a dark room and being desensitized. Meditation is finding yourself in a place where you can focus, and it's not an inward focus. I mean, yeah, you got to, and that's just like my answer of marvelous. That is me putting my guts in a chokehold and not telling you the truth. Because if I were to tell you the truth, it wouldn't benefit you or me, either one. I mean, if you said, "Oh, hey, preacher, how you doing?" and I started unloading on you how I was really doing, that is just a transference of that negativity. So I've got to put my guts in the chokehold and realize my feelings are here. Um, my mood overall is my conversation with the world, my outward living. But underneath that, undergirded, is my emotion. So if I've got a problem here with my feeling, the way I'm feeling, I've got to go down and let the dragon out, let the chokehold go. And that's where I spend most of my time in meditation, is kind of sifting through the garbage dump of life and salvaging the treasures and supplanting and suppressing, or the best thing you can do with that negativity is throw it completely away. And that takes practice. It's not something, I mean, I know people that have tried New Age spiritualism. I'm doing this the biblical fashion, where I'm spending time alone with the Lord in His Word and in my prayer closet. And the first person I'm complaining about is me. I've got to do that. I've got to have that self-awareness, that inward awareness, to where, like the illustration of the bow and arrow, I can have perfect form, I can have perfect delivery, but unless I'm willing to change the degrees of my life towards the target, I'm going to miss it every time.
That's right.
And then I'm going to get more frustrated, and now we're still stuck here in the feelings, and I'm going to start feeling like a failure, and that's going to kind of creep down into the mood of my being. But the real problem might be what's holding it all up. Well, and we'll get to that in a minute.
We bring up that concept of failure, and we're going to get into the meditation. Failure is a good thing because it shows you're actually trying.
Nobody has ever succeeded without failing.
That's correct. If you are not trying, that's even worse. Oh, it's too hard. You gave up before you even tried. But the meditation and the presence, being in the present is so much more beneficial than thinking about what happened yesteryear compared to what's going to happen next week. And that goes to the concept of being in atonement with God, at one-ment with God. Where you are, that's where you find the most, is in the present moment. And focusing on that and taking a deep breath and checking in with yourself. Where am I making the mistake? That's the first question always. How did I get here? What is it am I saying? How am I saying it? Or is it the words I'm choosing to use? What is it that I'm doing that creates this environment? And I bring this up because our environment, our reality, is a lot based on our communication with others, our communication with ourselves, what we want, perceive, what we drive for, our goals, all communicated through body language, through our posture, how we interact with other people. And that's something that we have to really take time to kind of develop. What?
I've been rebuked before dealing with this interaction. My wife is not the only person that's ever done it. She just does it often. Whenever I'm dealing with an emotion to feeling problem instead of a feeling to emotion problem, and it's a tough situation for the person that I'm dealing with, she called it out whenever, even before we got married. She looked at me one time and we were dealing with something, and she said, "I got to tell you, your eyes just died." And
Yeah.
that being the window to my soul,
Mhm.
it takes a lot of practice to be a good poker player.
Yeah.
You gotta hide your tails, and clinically, some days what you're feeling, and you're dealing with other people trying to love other people, and this is not clinical exclusive to clinical
No.
relationships. This is you dealing with who lives in your home or who you work with at your workplace. Sometimes you'll just die inside because you're not, the way you're feeling, you're not prepared to take care of what they're feeling.
Right.
And I've had several people, just lambast a situation or lambast me, personal attack, it don't matter, and my eyes will just die. And I've almost tried to manifest that to where I can use it just so people will back off. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an outward, it's a subconscious way. I mean, I have black eyes. I'm sorry, they're really, really dark brown, but there's just a switch that goes off in me and they just turn black. I mean, I call them my shark eyes, and it's a leverage tool. But this is the bad part. I can't use it with most people. Bruce and I talk all the time. We look at each other in the face all the time. Most people are so masking of their feelings, you can't make eye contact with a human being anymore, of people let alone a stranger. So sometimes it's just off-putting to have that emotion right there at the forefront of your eye, and you can feel it. You can feel what you're projecting. The eyes not only take in the world, but the eyes also show what you're seeing.
Right.
And whenever you've got somebody that is self-loathing, somebody that is overly self-critical, they bought the devil's lies and the world's lies with it, and they absolutely sit there and feel nothing. Best thing that I think they sometimes can see in me is a dead eye, because they're like, it shocks them. It scares them out of that self-pity, that self-loathing. And a lot of times it'll change the way people feel. And I think sometimes they look at dead eyes, and I know some people I interact with that have dead eyes too, that it makes me realize, you can have everything on the outside and still be dead on the inside.
That's true.
And that starts with the feeling. Now, I keep pointing here, not necessarily to highlight the pineal gland, but that is who you are, is who you're projecting. And what you're feeling, if you're not open and honest with yourself, you're not going to be open and honest with the rest of the world. So my marvelous is genuine. Whenever I'm asked how you doing, my marvelous is genuine, because in that moment, I have the opportunity to detach from what I've downloaded and tell you, hey, it's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be okay. But unless that's built on some good bedrock, you don't build a pyramid upside down. And too many people right now are reactionary to their feelings.
I think with that, reaction is how they feel important. Just, there's so much going on, and there's so much noise and chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is a huge part of it. The only way that they feel important or heard is to overreact instead of reflect. And I think that's a big issue. We really need to take some time and kind of like look at the situation and like what is inflammatory? What is it? Is it the actual person that's inflammatory? The actual situation? Is it something that's happened to me before? A consciousness of something that happened when I was younger and I had no power over it, and now it's happening again. And so now I'm older and bigger and stronger. I can react to it and show my disdain for the situation or the person.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where a lot of self-healing comes into play. And we also talked about how hormones play a role in our emotional regulation. And to an extent, we're going to say that hormone regulation and mental health they're two cogs in the same. It's two sides of a coin. If you are unable to regulate your hormones due to cortisol issues, stress, things of that nature,
Exercise
is great. Diet is great. Sleep is great. Exercise is a form of medicine that most people do not take part in. But if, let's say, you're depleted in hormones, that's going to affect how you feel physically. And your body's going to smell smoke, but you can't find the fire. So everything else is going to be inflammatory to you.
Can I ask a controversial question?
Please.
When we're talking about, I don't want to exclude half of our audience, but men react differently from feelings to moods to emotions than women.
Yes.
But we're still all subjected to the same underlying problems.
Correct.
Hormones, like when I was taking massive doses of prednisone, it depleted my testosterone. That I couldn't move my feelings past my mood. I could not be expressive in my emotions. See, the reason I kind of wanted to throw that image at you, the triangle, is if you can't get this right, what you're built on, the way you're expressive, everything, I mean, you won't be driven by an emotion that could benefit you. And let me look at your text message here a while ago, because it struck me. I almost took it personally that when you were talking about us being a terrestrial antenna, and we receive and we broadcast via our emotions, you know,
right.
that's our underlying projection. How many rational decisions are made when someone is emotional? That was a trick question I felt like you had for me, because without a genuine emotion, we're not incentivized to do anything. And that starts with, go to the book of Corinthians, chapter 13, you got love, agape love. And the reason I took that as an affronter to me personally is because I was having a hard time loving somebody at the exact moment I got that text message. And I was like, man, that's a kick in the teeth, because I'm being driven by this emotion of frustration with somebody, and I've still got to give everything I've got to give so that they can get out of this. I want to move them to the target, but you can't do that. What's the old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it pee. Yeah, well, I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so that right there is a perfect time. So the frustration that you're feeling, you have to kind of really self-reflect on: is it the person? Is it the situation they're in? Is it the friction because they keep throwing bricks? I have that as patients where, like, I can't lose weight. Well, walk 10 minutes after each meal. Oh, I can't walk. Okay, well then in your space, do some easy squats. I can't squat. Hold on, get into a chair, get out of a chair. Like, you're gonna throw every brick you think you can because you don't really want to do it. Mm-hmm. You want to complain about it, but you don't want to fix it. So this is a frustration where we are fixers by nature. You see the problem, you see the root cause, and like, okay, all you have to do is turn 45 degrees, walk 3 feet, turn again another 45 degrees, walk another 6 feet, and you're safe. Mm-hmm. And like, I can't walk. So I get the idea of frustration, which in itself is in that situation, not in every situation, is a gauge of how much love and compassion you have for the person. Mm. Instead of thinking it as like, this is frustrating or he's frustrating, I'm frustrated because I want to see success and I want to see this to be a healthy, happy person. That's a completely different. That is a stifling of that love. That you're a restriction, a governor on that, not placed on by you, but by another unknown force.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, after that statement, if it weren't for emotions, we wouldn't protect what we love. Okay, so say it's 3 o'clock in the morning, we get that bump in the night, the hyperadrenalization. First thing I think about is not self-preservation. It's, where's my wife? Where are my dogs? Is everything okay in the house? What made the bump in the night? Now let's go take care of business. that emotion is not self-preservation that's motivating me to get out of bed, traipse through the house with a flashlight in my underwear and a loaded gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that at all. It's the fact that I love my family.
Sure.
And that kind of emotional drive is that's what causes people to be genuine and ingenuitive and do what needs to be done. The necessity of life. We've lost that. We've flipped the pyramid, and we said, I'm going to go on my feelings. What I have imported today is the way I'm going to react. I've got to bring up social interaction with this, because this is kind of the collective mood of our culture right now, the world right now. Everything is tribal.
That is correct.
And we are aligning ourselves tribally, not on the notion or the premise of doctrine or of principle. We're all jumping to one side of the fence or the other because of the way we feel. Now, I'm a tribal person. I'm Scotch-Irish heritage. I like who I am. I'm a hillbilly deluxe. I'm tribal with my people here, but I still love the people that are moving into East Tennessee. One of them needs to buy this house, but anyway, that's a side note. That would change the way I feel a lot. It'd feel great to, yeah. Anyway, but I'm tribal to my people. I don't have many people in my life with the last name Downey anymore. Now, I come from a big family, and that was our tribe, man. You didn't go against us. But as that has diminished and went away, I've really seen that I was not tribal to a name. I was tribal to people I love. And that's a part of community we're missing now. That's why we're doing this. Because you need to love thy neighbor as thyself, I believe the Bible says, rather emphatically. But why do you? I'm not asking you to go love somebody that's not going to be a benefit to you. I'm asking you to invest yourself into someone that relationship's going to pay off. Now, does that mean it's you against the rest of the HOA in the neighborhood that you live in? No, it don't. What it means, though, is now you've got something that's buttressing that emotion in you that says, I love this person. I'm going to do the best for this person. It might be a neighbor you actually can't even stand, but you're going to put forth self to see them increase. That's the love that Christ showed us, and that's what we need to show each other. But that's an investment. That's for their benefit and your benefit too. Watch that wasp. He's wanting a drink of iced coffee.
Oh boy.
Give him a flip.
Go.
I think that's lucky. But that tribalism I'm talking about that can be a positive, that's that sense of community. And it don't mean that you have to be us against them or us against the world. It means that you've got somebody there that you're investing your character, your livelihood, your life into, and you expect a return from that. Now, that can be frustrating, but it can also be terribly rewarding. Now, the one big inhibitor to that interaction, that exchange, is the way I feel today. You did something that made me mad.
Oh.
Well, look at all of this I'm missing. I'm just going on the way I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Can we move to mood? Because a lot of people don't understand there's a differentiation between these three things.
Yeah, so mood is a lesser, it's a prolonged emotion that affects your disposition. So, as in like grumpy, or somebody who is very like mopey. Moods are, they will change the way you act in the world more often than emotion. Think of emotion as in like you're going to Disneyland. That excitement.
Mm-hmm.
You're on your first date and you know this is the woman you're going to marry. That level of emotions are a burst of feeling.
Endorphins and
you're rocking. You see a horror movie and that level of intensity. Those, you don't last in those. You're not supposed to last in those. In fact, in Chinese medicine, we have the 5 elements, and each element pertains to an organ system and an emotion. So fire is joy, earth is pensiveness, metal is grief, water is will or fear, And then wood is anger or frustration. And you are supposed to cycle through. But when you get hung up, when you feel an emotion over and over and over again, it starts to change you into where you are living in that mood. Yeah.
Mood.
Nothing ever works. Or the anxious person where I can't go out today, it's raining. I heard that there was going to be high winds, I'm staying home today. There might be a roach in my shoe. I have some patients who are so anxious that it's almost like Christmas and Santa's coming when they come to the office, because they've mustered enough enough willpower to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
I have other patients where nothing's ever good. That just things are falling apart, and those are more of a difficult patient for me, because they have trained their pleasure centers, their dopamine, they've trained their psychology, their biology to live off that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
live off that mood. Debbie Downers.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to like change that is very, very difficult for me. And I don't know why. I'm going to have to like think about what I'm doing or perceiving, or why I get hung up on that.
Jesus taught a little lesson about, before I help my neighbor with a splinter in his eye, get the beam out of mine. And this is something that I feel like I beat people over the head with the beam that's in my eye in that shape because of my level of frustration. But they're just they're not self-aware at all. Self-awareness and self-centeredness are polar opposites.
Yeah. So it can be anything. Good things can be happening, and then we had this conversation a little while, I think this Tuesday, about the concept of good and evil and how much more good prevails. How much more? And I had brought up the watermelon. Like you can have a horrible day, but man, that watermelon is so good. Mm-hmm. It's so good. You're having a rough day. You ran out of gas. You're late for work. But driving home, it's an amazing sunset. Look how beautiful that is. And it's
presence. That's all. It don't cost you anything.
No.
Just be present where you are.
That's right. So this level of just seeing that sunshine, seeing that level of, this is amazing. We are not in a war-torn area. We're not in an area of famine. We are living in a very, we won the geographic lottery.
Yeah, we did.
So we are living in this place where we should be as thankful as possible. And that's where I think I get stuck with the frustration, is they lack the gratefulness, mm-hmm. the thankfulness. And I think that is a trigger for me, and has always been. And I think that's something I'm going to have to work on, is understanding that nothing's ever good. They lack gratefulness, and I'm going to shift the way I approach that. But
going back to the beam in your eye and the splinter in your neighbor's eye, I have to take that decompression time, and this is what I've caught myself doing. My front porch has a beautiful view of a fragmented sunset through the trees. When the leaves are on the trees, I think it's as pretty then as it is when I can see the big orange ball go behind the horizon, because it's broken up. I sit on the front porch. I'm usually on the phone at that time. I've saved a phone call or two for that time of day that I got to call people back. I sit out on the front porch. The dogs run in the yard, and I'm there on the phone. I watch the sun go down, and I've caught myself saying, I sure do wish I was watching that same sunset in the Gulf of America.
Yeah.
And here I am exposed to peace. I'm at my home, so I got a harmony of familiarity, but I let my feeling change the mood that I could end the day in.
Nostalgia does that.
Bad.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Nostalgia where I remember the person that may or may not have lived. Like that concept of like that childhood. By now, it's just a dream compared to where I am now. And so I get stuck on days where, like, man, just roaming in the woods, nobody knows where I am, no cell phones, no responsibility. That level of nostalgia will catch me.
Precious memories, how they linger. I was triggered by a brand of mustard yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds stupid, I know, but my granny kept Plowman's mustard in her refrigerator. And anytime that mustard was needed as a condiment, it was that barrel bottle with the twist top, and you squeeze what you needed. Hadn't seen it in years, and found it at a local grocery store. I was planning on ending the day calorie light, eating very sensibly, going to bed. No, had to have something that mustard was required for. And it wasn't the mustard. I mean, it's delicious, but it wasn't the mustard. It wasn't the bottle. It was that going back to that innocence. And that brought me low immediately. Because I can state the negatives right off the bat. My granny's been dead since 2003. It's been a long time since I put my feet underneath her table and ate in her kitchen. I wish I could go back and do that, but then I remembered something just inside of me. I remembered how it felt to eat a hot dog or a hamburger sitting at her table with that mustard and seeing that same barrel, and then you would go in and you would watch on a 22-inch halftime color TV Saturday afternoon wrestling and drink chocolate milk out of a cardboard carton and eat Cheetos from the bag. I'm sorry, that takes me somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see it in my face from this far away or not, but just reliving that, having that memory and putting this life on pause, what's coming at you, put that on pause and just spend a second. I'm not going to go back and live that life. I'm not going to go by my grandmother's house so I can go in her kitchen anytime I want to, but I can say I've been there, and what I'm facing now, I can spend just a second there. And that refreshes the feelings. It's kind of a reboot on what I've downloaded, and it makes my mood come up lighter. And the last thing is my emotional health. And that's where a lot of the root causes are, because it's not, if you're unhealthy here and you can't hold up and react to in a healthy way your feelings and your mood, if you can't relegate your mood and react to your feelings the way you should, your emotional health is bad. And I've been there so often. I've been subject to addiction because of my emotions. And I'm not saying that as an excuse. That's the root cause that I went all the way back down to. Just suffering rejection and being kicked in the teeth by life so many times. Emotionally, I got very deteriorated, deflated, and I didn't have that healthy building block to go off of. I was just in the moment of feelings and moods. And my best friend, whenever we were growing up, she married a buddy of mine, and after they got married, I was still living in addiction, and she told on me. She just out of the blue told on me to my face. And she said, your problem is you have good days and bad months. And that's because I didn't know how to wrangle the beast of emotion.
Sure.
Most
people do that with food now.
I did that with substance.
Yeah. As soon as they start feeling bad or feeling something other than, they need cake, they need cookies, they need comfort food.
Little Debbie to the rescue.
And 80% of our disease comes from our mouth. It's both what we put in and our oral hygiene. But emotions, they strike like lightning. They can dysregulate us in a moment's notice. Days going great, and then you hear a song that you remember that reminds you of your father. Tank.
Mhm.
And I can't handle this right now. I have so much more things to do. I have to pick up the kids from the school, and now you want to cry because it reminds you of your father, and it's very hard to kind of re-regulate yourself. So we create emotional attachments, and this is the term now, I guess, emotional triggers. But what it means is we have no resiliency to our environment. We have no resiliency to how we're going to regulate ourselves.
It's called temptation.
Temptation is a great one. And then there's also, I see it with my youngest. There has the lack of ability to restrain.
Mm-hmm.
You have not built that up. And impulse buying, another one. Impulse buying is another way where I think it's an average of $3,000 is spent yearly on impulse buying by Americans.
Don't doubt that at all.
And it has to do with I'm feeling a lot. I don't know how to express it. I need to take the pressure off. The pressure valve needs to be pressed and released. And they come home with like a new blender because it was on sale.
No, I can tell you who, if they would take the time to evaluate it, I can tell you exactly who knows people that are living a healthy emotional life and people who don't. That's the Amazon driver. Because I know how it makes me feel. If I'm in a bad mood, I might go buy something trivial that I may or may not need, but it's inexpensive. It's because for the next day and a half, I want to look forward to getting the box on the porch.
That's a dopamine hit, and I just watched a video on how that affects people.
Mm-hmm.
The anticipation of getting something, it releases more dopamine than when you actually get it. You get it, it's fun and new for a day or two, and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
But the wait for it, the anticipation, oh, it's coming. Oh, 3 more stops before my place.
Yep.
That creates an excitement. We are now creating a fake emotion for ourselves to ignore all the other things that we should be kind of like working on. Self-healing. Taking the time to kind of like, all right, I want this. I'm going to put it in the save for later or the wish list, and I'm going to come back to it in 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And if I still want or need it, fine. But if I don't, then it was just me trying to regulate my emotions via impulse.
Okay, you're the doc and I'm the patient now. Is it wrong to reward myself with those things?
Not if you have a healthy balance. Make a goal for yourself.
I try to do that.
Yeah, the goals are a great way of. It's called Ulysses Trap. Ulysses, yeah. So it's from that Greek story, Ulysses, right?
Ulysses, yeah.
Iliad. Where he has to sail past, and he ties himself up to the post, and the sirens are calling. The sirens are calling, and it's creating an incredible emotional response, right?
Mm-hmm.
That new fishing pole, it's like 10% off right now, and I get a discount for being like a frequent buyer. That siren is calling. Okay, let's make a goal. I will sell my other fishing poles first.
And that's sacrilegious to get rid of a fishing pole. But anyway, go ahead.
Use it as an example. And if I can sell enough to make the money I need for that, then I've done it. Another form is, hey, I'm going to eat healthy and not buy junk food. And make sure I exercise a minimum of 20 minutes a day. I'm going to do that for 2 weeks. And then if I hit all those goals, I reward myself. But just buying it because, I had a bad day, things are tough, and I didn't flip out, and I need this, or I want this, you're just creating yourself a cycle of always having bad days, so you can get yourself something.
Yeah, it's like rewarding a dog for doing what was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is that, and this is a healthy relationship with yourself. It's okay to want, it's okay to have hobbies where, but there's also, there's got to be a certain stoppage for yourself of, I'm going to volunteer my community for 10 hours. I'll do 2 hours a week for the next 5 weeks, and then I'll get that new video game I want. Just, you have to
discipline.
Yeah, and that you're training yourself to regulate those emotions, regulating those impulses. You're learning to create positive reinforcements for yourself, and it's important.
Okay, emotional health overall. I can tell you this. I'll testify a little bit. If I'm overweight, I don't like me. If I don't like me, I don't take care of me, and that affects my mood. And I get to the point where I'm chasing more and more unhealthy things so I can feel better.
That's right.
And that is my downfall. So it starts here, and I'll close with this, and you can finish it out. But whenever I've gotten a chokehold down here, that I'm regulating what comes out. How do you feel? I feel marvelous, man. How are you doing? That there's times I can't project that. There's times I can't put on enough clown makeup to hide my feelings, but it's not my feelings that have got me messed up. It's my emotion. It's my overall envelopment of my environment, my community, everything that's going on, the things I can change and the things I can't change. You can tell I've dealt with 12-step programs a few times in my life by saying that. I don't pray for that anymore. I pray for the strength of God. Keep this guy in between the lines of the road of life, and wherever you send me, whatever you take me down, let me be content in it and have peace with it. And moving past that, Lord, just let me have an overall health here of emotion where I'm not vehement, where I'm not venomous, where I'm not reactionary, where my trigger is dialed up instead of dialed down.
Right.
And I'm not having to go back because I'll tell you, there is no rewind button to life. I wish there was. If there was, I would have a remote control that when I say what I want to say or what I instinctively say, I could hit rewind and just suck all those words back up, think about it for a minute. But those feelings, I can control this. I can be aware of my mood. But if my body is not healthy, my emotions aren't going to be healthy. I'm going to be sad, and I don't care how beautiful the sky is. There's going to be a cloud over me, and I wear that cloud. And a lot of times, back to the dead eyes, if I feel like I can control that, if I've got to interact with somebody I dread interacting with, and I can turn those on and off before I even get in, I know I'm emotionally where I need to be, and that way I can be concerned for them instead of the burden of this.
Always baby steps. Everything's baby steps. Rome wasn't built in a day. First thing, when you know you're up against those, I think honesty, and I say this to Jessica, my wife, I need to process this. Mm-hmm. It might take me a little bit. And it could be like, I just need a moment to kind of reflect and figure this out for me. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Regulation, and that's a buffer. That's a buffer where you want to react, you want to fly off the handle, you want to cry, you want to run away. You're like, hold out. What exactly am I feeling? Am I capable of dealing with this condition, this situation right now? I don't think I'm emotionally strong enough to regulate myself at this point. We're going to take a time out on this. I hear what you're saying. I need to process this because it's affecting me. And I want to make sure I give you sound advice. I want to make sure that I can be there for you. So now they've been heard. They understand that you are considering the situation, and like now it's time for them to be patient. Okay, take as much time as you want. Take as much time as you need.
And I know dealing with my wife, that can be frustrating to her.
Oh yeah,
But she realized now enough to know that I'm not reacting from the top down, I'm reacting from the bottom up.
we have to do that with everyone.
Yeah.
Every situation, we have to take a moment and check in with ourselves. A guy cut you off. We talked about forgiveness and riding through Knoxville. Somebody gets your order wrong. Like, what righteous indignation do I have to get this order right? So
if you're cussing somebody out at Chick-fil-A, you do not have good emotional health.
Right. You shouldn't be at Chick-fil-A.
My pleasure.
So take a moment. Like, all right. This is absurd. The absurdity of this situation. I'm going to lose my head over. I got curly fries instead of straight cut fries.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Let's take a look at this.
But all you have to do is go on X. It's full of feeds of people reacting with hostility towards somebody that has not even wronged them.
That's true, and I think part of it is this is how they get attention now.
Mm-hmm.
We have gotten to a point where we are a viral moment when we Karen out from the situation. Instead of like just treating each other with the same amount of love and kindness that you want to be treated with. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to get angry. Sometimes, you're not going to be able to emotionally regulate yourself all the time. It's not going to happen. But you should be able to even when that does happen, have enough maturity to apologize and ask for forgiveness for your action.
Well, going back to the bottom down, the foundation of emotion, I have to be self-aware. I have to be conscious. I have to be cognizant of who I am in order to control those animals that are in me.
We all do. Yeah.
And that's been lost.
That has been lost. I think it's actually been surrendered. Because this is how most people watch social media or news, and this is how they respond to each other. Piers Morgan, the shouting match. This is how they respond to each other now. And we are subconsciously reprogramming ourselves to say, this is how society acts. If I don't act like this, it's going to happen to me. So we have to take the brakes, push them down all the way, look behind us, and go in reverse.
Yeah.
Got to look back and go, hey, we've missed something in the back. We missed our exit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and my problem with pragmatism and stoicism in my life is there's a kind of misogynist pleasure I take from being prepared for the worst.
Oh, I'm not, but it's a male thing.
That brings me emotional health. Mm-hmm. If I think I've got too many loose ends laying out there to deal with what's coming next, I'm not emotionally healthy. So preparedness helps me. And to be honest with you, for the past 5 years, I have literally been preparing for civil war. I mean, it's not something I want to see. It's not something I want to manifest because I think about it, but it's something that the possibility of it is so real. This is what my frustration stems from. And I feel like I owe you for an hour session today because I just solved a problem here. My frustration is with the vapidity of people who have no realization how close to disaster every day is. That's not me telling you to live in a constant state of doom. I'm not there. I don't do that. I don't want you to do that. But I get frustrated with people's simplicity. Maybe I'm even jealous of their simplicity.
More complacency.
Yeah.
They just tune on. They just tune out. I understand. I think because I am a man, the way I'm built, I am built for Neolithic times. I just have the build for hard work, scavenging, hunting, living by a fire. It bothers the crap out of me that I'm a troglodyte, that I am like caged in 24/7. There's such a big world to roam through. I could be a nomad. That would be fine with me. But I also know there should be and I think this might be the issue. Self-reliance is gone.
Everybody needs to read Emerson and Thoreau as soon as they can.
Oh,
read Walden.
Learning how to can, learning how to salt meats, learning how to have your own.
Put a pump well in.
There's got to be a certain level of self-reliancy, self-resiliency. We would be a better neighbor to each other if we're not looking at the Jones aspect of, well, he got a new station wagon, I have to get a new station wagon. And we only focused on our own plates. Just focus on, I got to get the garden started. I got to make sure the chickens are fed. We would be better because we are tending to our own garden instead of looking at what everybody else has.
Ironically enough, when we get down here, that's the exact two things I've got to do is go feed chickens and go pick cucumbers.
There you go. But this is something, the self-resiliency, I don't take up arms against people. I don't feel any type of frustration towards people because they don't. I know their lifestyle is hard, and a lot of times they get stuck. And it's a lot easier to play 15 hours of video games than to actually dig a well. Engage with your environment. So I understand. As for calamity, we're always on the brink of calamity. Somebody had said that every generation there's always a new revelation that we're living through. Solar flares, earthquakes, drought. Pick your poison. But you shouldn't live your life with that fear. You should have the tools and the mindset that I am safe and I will make sure my family and my neighbors are safe.
Yeah.
That is something that we should all work on.
I want to tell them a secret.
Please.
And then I'm done.
Good.
The secret is this. Bruce and I do this because Bruce and I need this.
Yeah.
We are just privileged enough to whoever finds this, we want you to know that we love you. We've invited you to this. This is not a gripe session. This is just an awareness. This is projected meditation, because right now, because of a conversation we're having, we're kind of pigeonholed into. We got to address this, and as men, we've lost the campfire logic, the communal that communal bind. We've lost that. For me and Bruce, this is it. He deals with, loves, and adores his family. I deal with, love, and adore my family. And this is an outlet. And I've heard it said, what do men do now in midlife crisis instead of buy a Corvette? They start a podcast. Welcome to my Corvette. But we need this. We do this every week. We do this in his office. We do this on the phone. But we needed this because we don't want to keep this to ourselves. If somebody out there for the first time has thought, well, the way I'm feeling affects my mood affects my emotional health, maybe it's the other way around. We started backwards. Who you are is who is. The Bible says God seeks out the inward parts of man, the bowels of mercy. That's what we're choking down. And I see people every day, myself included, that are inclined to choke to death on what they're holding in, instead of being genuine in their presentation, in their conversation, and in their projection to the world. I spend more energy with my emotions in a chokehold than I do living my life some days. And a lot of times it's to protect my witness, my testimony, protect my relationship with the Lord. But in reality, it might be a reason that I've got a big line of stitches up the center of my chest. It's because I choked that animal down for so long. No matter how healthy my body was, emotionally, I was just under so much pressure, not complaining, just stating the obvious. I didn't have anything left to give, and that's because I had burnt myself up with bad emotional health. And the number one thing that I call attention to is when you are emotionally not right. And I want to tie this to religion. I don't like that word. Religion tastes bad in my mouth. I'm about a relationship. But your spiritual health, I think, is immediately affected by your emotional health. Where what your eyes are broadened to see in the glory of God is really throttled back when your emotion is bitter and angry and contentious, and you're walking around with that chip on your shoulder, and you say, I'm doing good, and you're just waiting on somebody in the world to knock that chip off so you can blow up. That is a very poor emotional state. I speak from personal experience. Do what you got to do to change it. And the first thing the big thing that keeps me on even keel is I know I have a personal relationship with the Lord. That centeredness can let me sail through storms otherwise that would sink me. So do that, please. Just be aware. Be brazen in front of the throne room of God. Come knowing His mercy and say, Lord, show me where I'm soured. Show me where I've got to go in here and go through eggs in a minute because I walk by and there's a broke one in here. I've got to go through eggs. Okay. The whole of the basket is good, but somewhere down there, there's something that stinks. It's my job to get that out. Actually, it's my wife's job to get that out, but I'll be the one that throws it away. I promise you. But when it is found, if you just let it sit there, it's not going to do anything but stink it up. So backtrack that emotionalism. Don't be afraid. If you're a believer, you are not going to go into the cave of your life and your memory alone. So don't be afraid to go to the bottom of the cave and find all that nasty stuff that has cultured in you to emotional negativity, and it's affecting the way you feel. It's affecting your observable mood, and most importantly, it's standing as a block to your inner peace with the Lord. So get it done. Get it done. The faster, the better. But like he said, baby steps. Don't go in there and find your darkest demon and say, I'm going to destroy you. No, start weeding out the garbage, and it will naturally matriculate to where you can clean just by the grace of God, you'll get to clean off your chalkboard, and tomorrow you start new. You're emotionally founded. You know you're spiritually well. Your mood is going to be noticeably different between you and the world. And then all of a sudden, you'll lay your head down at night and go to sleep like a baby because you feel different. Don't put the cart in front of the horse. Bruce, I'm done. Shut me up.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, so always, I bring this up like in almost every podcast, take a moment to self-reflect and figure out what is it. I don't know why I do this so much. Well, Jessica and my family have an idea. I need to know. I need to have an innate knowing. Everything about me is I need to know it all the way down, so there's nothing left. And I need to, anytime there's a new thought, a new feeling, a new person in my life, I need to know exactly how am I going to interact? What is it that holds me back? What is it that pushes me forward? So something just to consider. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. And take the time to really reflect on your relationship with yourself, your relationship with others, and how does that make the day go better? How does it interrupt your day? And take time to have that atonement, at-one-ment. Be present in what you're doing. In the monotony and the mundane, we find the profound. And we take that moment to really be grateful that we have that opportunity to acknowledge that profound.
Any questions for us next week, put them in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and follow. We love you. We love each other. Guarantee before he gets in the car and heads out from my house to his house, we're going to hug each other and tell each other we love them. I'm going to give you some homework this week. Go hug somebody, tell them you love them, and then at the end of the day, hug yourself because you're the one that you're living for. you're what boils down. You're who matters, and if you can't matter to yourself, you're not going to matter. You're not going to reach your potential to mattering to others and changing other people's lives. We love you. Lord loves you, and we'll see you the next time we get together. It'll be 2 weeks with Bruce.
Yep.
And we'll have a special guest that week. And like I said, any questions, suggestions, or comments, put them down below, and we would appreciate it greatly. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a blessed day.
Yes. And my homework to you is have some watermelon.
Have some